What's going on, everybody? Noah from Stage 3 Motorsports here, and we are back with the 2020 F-150 giveaway build. And today I've got two new mods we're going to knock out. The first being these Bushwacker paint-matched fender flares. They're in agate black, so they tie in perfectly with the truck. I think they're going to look great. So we'll get these bolted on, and then we're going to dive into this Airaid cold air intake that I have underneath it, and that should just kind of help give the truck a little bit more pep and certainly be a better quality filter than what's in there from factory. So let's get started on the Bushwackers first. So a quick tip for you guys that are installing these at home, typically where these holes are, you'll need to take these little rubber or foam tabs that come in your kit. You're gonna wrap it around, and then there's gonna be a little threaded clip that goes on. But I found that the clips they provide are actually too big, and so when you push it on, it doesn't line up with the hole. Now, there is just a quick way to make this work though. So if you take it off and grab some pliers, needle nose tend to work best, and you can just kind of slide it into this top section where it will thread, push it on the floor, bend that up, and now you've got some clearance, and this will allow that hole to line up on the truck. So it looks like that's going to be a wrap on the fender flares, and I've got the other side done as well. So now we're going to go around front, pop the hood, and get to work on that Airaid intake. All right, folks, got the Airaid intake all locked in and everything's looking pretty nice in the engine bay. Now, one thing I do want to say about these cold air intakes, and this goes for pretty much any cold air intake kit for these F-150s and most vehicles these days, there isn't a lot to be gained here in terms of power. Typically, you might see maybe 5 extra horse from this or another 5 foot-pounds of torque. It's really not a big noticeable difference, but the two main benefits you can typically draw from a kit like this are firstly going to be that you're getting a nicer, larger filter that's reusable, and in this case, it's an oiled reusable filter, so you can clean it out, re-oil it, and you don't just have to swap crappy paper filters over time. The other benefit is that with this being a turbocharged motor, there's actually a lot of cool intake sound that comes from it. So if you like that kind of sportier feel and you want some of the intake sound, a little bit more noise from the turbos, a lot of times these intakes do help in kind of heightening that. And I do like that for this truck. I think it's one of the better sounds you can get because the EcoBoost exhaust note is really not that great on its own. The thing I do want to mention here is that with this Airaid kit, the install is not a super easy bolt-on install. There were some things that I had to tweak and adjust to get it to fit properly, and I did run into a few hiccups along the way. So some stuff like the air temperature sensor not fitting quite right in the hole, and some of the hoses that Airaid provides didn't really tuck in nicely and tended to fold and kink. That stuff is kind of a pain in the butt when you're installing it, but it's something to keep in mind. Now, obviously it didn't prevent me from getting it put in here, and the intake does look really good in the engine bay, but I just want to put that stuff out there in case you're doing this as a DIY project in your driveway. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the Bushwacker fender flares that we did earlier. I kind of briefly mentioned that we finished them and then we moved straight onto the intake, but if you're looking for some more details on these, they are Bushwacker's bolt-on style fender flares, and they came pre-painted in agate black to match this truck, and they actually have a couple different color matched options that are pre-painted, so you don't have to take it to a body shop and have them spray them for you. And it looks like the color match is perfect. The fitment was pretty solid on these. I did have to kind of work with those a bit as well to get them to tuck against the body nicely and really seal. And they're not perfectly sealed all the way around. There's still a few little gaps where I couldn't get it spot on, but you can get it close enough that it does look really nice. Now, the other thing is I do really like the actual look of the flares because it kind of widens the stance of the vehicle. And with the wheels that we have, these Fuel Nitro 6 wheels, they're a 17/9 and they're a -12 offset. So they put that tire outside the wheel well a little bit, and these flares meet up pretty much dead level with the outside of the tire. So I think the look is great. It's not overly aggressive, but it does give this truck some more presence and definitely makes it feel even a bit more built than it already is. Overall, I'm really happy with how this build is coming together. And next, we're gonna kind of move into some lighting upgrades. So you'll see that in the following video, but I think that's all I've got for you guys for today. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.